So first up, we're going to be talking about ransomware. The UK government put out this week legislative proposals. Opens, I think it closes in April, in which they're looking at this issue, which, let's be honest, we've talked about quite a bit on the podcast, is a pretty big issue. And I would say they've broken it down to three main recommendations. One is they don't want people to pay ransoms to the ransomware people anymore. They say it only encourages them and that it boosts the business model. Secondly, they want a setup where they have greater intelligence so they can hopefully put a stop to this. And thirdly, they want the government to understand things more so that they can sort of come up with greater international cooperation. And as luck would have it, we have a cybersecurity expert and ransomware expert with us here, who was here coincidentally, talking about some of the work that we're doing at Oxel. Welcome, Aaron. Have you had a chance to look through these proposals?
Yeah, I did. And broadly speaking, it's good to think about demonetizing ransomware. So the spirit of the exercise, shall we say, is a good one, and I support it in a variety of ways. However, I think it's tricky. To go through the proposal in a little more detail, they're saying government agencies and schools, which have been particularly impacted by ransomware, not just in the UK, but in the US, threat actors have targeted a lot of private schools because people get sensitive about their children's data and they don't want it published. So it makes sense why the actors would target it. And the idea is that if they refuse to pay ransoms, then they will stop being targeted because everyone will know that these organizations don't pay ransoms.
It's good in theory, though, isn't it? But if you are a private school, if you are an NHS manager, if you are a vice chancellor of a university, I mean, this is what we're talking about, really. Yeah. And your data does get sucked up, and they do threaten to post it unless you pay the money. I mean, you're gonna find a way around, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for a start, it's not illegal to pay ransoms. There are some checks you would have to go through if you're an organization thinking about paying a ransom. You essentially, if you're in the US, you want to check the OFAC lists to make sure they're not a sanctioned entity, or here in the UK, the OFSI list. But essentially, you would need to make sure they're not some sanctioned terrorist organization or espionage agency or something.
They're legit criminal.
Exactly, right. You only want to pay the legit criminals, the ones who are in it for the money rather than for the data. That in theory is how one would go about it. In practice, it's not illegal, and organizations can choose to do it to protect themselves. And we see a lot of that out of the insurance industry. And so for me, it's a very hot topic item. I've been working on a paper for a couple of years arguing that insurance companies shouldn't be paying the ransoms, they should be paying the losses. So help people recover from the damage rather than pay the ransom itself. And that's another way we could go. But the reason this is tricky is because it's incentive engineering. I think I was joking with you earlier about an example I like to use of my son. We were sitting outside with a friend who I hadn't seen in many years having a chat. And my son wanted to go play Minecraft. And I sort of wanted him to keep quiet for a few more minutes while I said goodbye to my friend. And so he said, "Can I play Minecraft? Can I play Minecraft?" He said, "As soon as my friend goes home." And he turned to my friend and said, "Can you go home now?" So I thought I was incentivizing good behavior, and I discovered I was incentivizing bad behavior. And I worry this will go the same way.
When you put potentially millions of dollars into the mix, it's not good. I mean, could this go right? Will this go wrong? Is the government sort of barking up a tree, or does it have a serious point here?
I think if this is part of a series of steps and they're prepared to deal with how the system and the situation changes after they've made these new rules, then if it's a sequence of moves, shall we say, it'll work well. If they think that this one move is going to change everything, we'll be in a bit of trouble. And I'll be specific about that, right? There's two ways ransomware gangs make money. One is encrypting your network. One is releasing the data. And it seems like a lot of the gangs change their behavior based on who the victim is. So like a school or a lawyer, they might go with, "We threaten to release your data." But a manufacturing company, they might go, "We're encrypting all the data in the network," because the privacy is not as important to the manufacturing company.
So can I ask, this is going to sound like a really stupid question, but can you explain ransomware to me as though I'm 2? Because I've got a vague sense of there's some bad people and they hold something to ransom, but what does it actually mean? What do they actually do?
Yeah. No, I love trying to explain ransomware this way. I think it makes everything more sensible. It's extortion, and it's extortion digitally delivered. So what do we mean by extortion? If you don't pay me, I'm going to do something bad to you.
So, and what is it they do? Does it change or?
Yeah, they change their tactics, right?
Okay.
And I think that was true even in the real world many years ago, but also in the digital world. So the two or three main ways that they do damage, shall we say. One is to encrypt all your stuff and keep the keys so you don't have access to it. So you want to, everyday metaphor, they change the locks on your house and they've got the keys and you can't use your house, right?
Yeah.
The other thing they do is they threaten to publish all of your data. So we've stolen all the data, we've exfiltrated it with the fancy words, and then we're going to publish it to the world. So they went into your house, they took all your pictures of you in the bath as a kid, and the embarrassing things that you did.
So the ransom in
Christmas.
ransomware literally means like holding to ransom,
Bingo.
like, you know, I've taken your drink.
Yeah.
Pay me £1,000.
Or I'm not giving it back. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Things my kids do to me all the time, basically. They don't charge millions, but basically it's the same idea.
So,
and then the third thing they do is sometimes DDoS, which is where they flood the network with traffic, or, you know, it's like your children. They ask you so many questions, you can't answer them fast enough, and your brain just shuts down.
So what is the best, you know, say let's say I'm an NHS, running an NHS hospital. What's the best solution? I store my data off-site to have backups. I make sure that I'm updating the security endlessly on all the software that I've got. I mean, is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to do, and I think, you know, without boring your listeners with all of those details, backups are important, off-site backups are important, but they only solve that one side of the problem where they've stolen your data. It doesn't help you. So when they've encrypted your network and you need to restore, those backups are helpful. But if they're threatening to release sensitive data, those backups are not the solution. So our advice in ransomware has traditionally been just make backups, make backups. It's not that simple. You also need ways of dealing with the privacy issues. You know, learning what has been leaked very, very quickly can help you respond to what they're threatening to leak. And that in and of itself is a challenge.
This whole other side where they're saying basically they're saying we want to figure out how to find these people and shut them down. Are we making much progress with that? I mean, cyber crime and fraud is something that everybody is looking at. Are we making progress with ransomware? Do we know who these people are? Is there a way of getting at them?
Yeah, there's some wonderful operations led by the NCA here in the UK and some in the US as well in recent years and months. Operation Endgame, Operation Disrupt. They're even kind of fun to watch if you like. You go to the websites and they have little videos of what they're doing and how they're running the operation, and they even to some degree troll the cyber criminals. So you can get the popcorn out and enjoy the show.
Like a sort of Kit Boga, these like YouTuber vigilantes who catch scammers.
Yeah.
Is it kind of almost
but
like
government
that?
level.
Government level, like,
with
hey.
funding, right?
Next level YouTube.
Yeah, funding and communication.
They're always very satisfying when you see, you know, someone who's there scamming a granny, and then the realization, they get annoyed and they become aggressive, but then it's like the panic sets in. So that, it's nice to know that the government is funding these little...
and doing good jobs and collaborating with other nations. So sharing a lot of information across borders to allow people to knock on doors and arrest people and so on. And I mean, you know, are we catching all of them? No, but we're doing a lot better than we were 3 or 4 years ago, and I think it will slowly make a difference.
All right.